Hey, what's up, y'all? Back again with another video. I hope you guys are all doing well, taking care of yourself, eating foods that resonate with you, and making sure you are staying hydrated. So I want to talk about being delusional in relationships, because at times when we are, when a person is interested in someone, you can easily get into delusions. And the thing is, your delusions were already there. So if the delusions and the illusions of how a relationship is supposed to be, and you have a fantasy already lined up in your mind of how you are going to navigate a relationship due to the programming of movies, they always show women who are chasing after a man and how the man is continuously running away. And so it creates this lustful, delusional atmosphere between you and that individual. So within watching certain movies or even TV shows, it's very dramatic, and it's not realistic. And so what happens is that if a person is watching that over and over and over again, and they're not using discernment, they don't have self-awareness, and they know how to objectively observe whatever they are watching, then they're going to think without any guidance to how relationships actually work, the reality of relationships, and they're using that as a guidance tool to operate in relationships. So it almost creates a illusion and a delusion for that individual, and a fantasy and a luminance of dreaming and fantasizing over a person. And that's how obsession starts to create. And this fixation about that you're supposed to be with that individual. And don't get me wrong, there are people who know that that person was supposed to be their spouse, but we know when it goes too far to the other end, where it becomes, like I said, luminance, fantasizing about that person, and it's continuous throughout the day, and those energies start to get bigger, louder, and stronger. So learning your birth chart is going to help you navigate how you present yourself in a relationship and get down to the nitty-gritty of some of the things that you will be dealing with when it comes to relationships. So when this obsessive energy comes in, it can't even stop. This energy is already going before you even met the person. So if that energy is already there, you can definitely attract narcissists, because they're in a facade. They are in their ego as well, but in a different form. To hurt you. They see you as a person who is vulnerable. There's a lot of people who take advantage of people who need help, who are in a down space, a down depressed space. I'm not saying that there are no people, good people out there that do help their partner get out of depressive states and sad states and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of people who take advantage of a person that is, at a low time in their life, because they know if they're at a low point in their life, that they will depend on them. And because they're at their weakest spot in their life, and the narcissist knows that, they know that they could trap you. They use that to trap you. They act charming in the beginning. They act like they're really, really into you, and then eventually you start to see truly who they are. And the thing is that they were definitely showing you who they are. And it sucks because, there are people who are very genuine and charming. Like, for example, for me, I'm naturally charming. I have Venus in Libra. I have Gemini in the 7th house, which represents relationships and how you communicate in relationships. And I'm also a Leo. So you know, I'm genuinely nice by default. And I have 3 Sagittarius placements, and I told you guys that before. And that placement, if you use it right, the healed parts of that those Sagittarius placements, they could be very optimistic, genuine, and kind, and super giving when they are in their most healed parts of themselves. So when you look at your birth chart, it helps you, like I said, to identify. Each placement gives you aspects, the things that you will be dealing with and the things that you are really good at in that placement on your birth chart. So having a lack of knowledge and not knowing yourself, because I was operating majority of my life in my South Node, and that is how you acted in your previous life. And the tendency of the Libra, they can become a people pleaser because they don't want to cause chaos. A healed Libra, or healed Libra placements, like Venus and Libra, like myself, now, knowing what I know now, I'm able to balance things out. And sometimes I gotta let things tip over, crash and burn, and be okay with it. Because, you know, people can take your weakness as kindness, and majority do. A majority of people, when they see that you're kind, they love to take advantage. And it's just like, why can't you just appreciate that that individual just cares about you from the jump, you know? So you want to make sure that you're not in these illusionary state of minds. You know, a person could have Pisces and Venus, and Pisces represents escape and dreamy and imagining, and that can definitely put you in a space of lumirating more than the other another person who has Venus in Capricorn. They may not lumirate like that versus a Pisces. A Pisces will go, you know, it'll expand a lot because they already dream. They already are a imaginary type of placement. So knowing yourself will definitely help you guide yourself in these types of relationships. So when it comes to delusions, like I said, if you're already in a delusion of how a relationship is supposed to look or work and be, and comparing them to your friends' relationship and them being married for multiple years, it takes a lot of work to be in a relationship. It takes a lot of responsibility, and that's what they don't show, the details in these movies, that it takes a certain mindset to continue a relationship, to continue to water the grass that you guys decided to step on and lay on and chill on and nurture. So it takes both people, and both people, if they're not recognizing the traumas that they have, and I've said this before, they can inevitably start to fight between their traumas and not be able to step back and be like, okay, here's the trauma, here is us, so let's come at this at a different angle, not boom trauma, and now you guys are meeting each other with a lot of resistance and trying to prove your point in a way where there's no understanding being met. So being aware and being conscious of that is key, but you don't want to get into this delusion of how a relationship is supposed to pan out, because every relationship does not mean that it's going to work out. Just because someone looks good does not mean that it's going to work out or it's going to last for a long time. It might be just good for that period of time for you to learn something, or to learn how to be detached, to have to get in the momentum of least expectation. There's a lot of people who also worry before they even get into the relationship or go on a date. You know, this constant worrying that this person is going to hurt you. And there's a fine line between listening to your gut and your intuition. If that person is a red flag and you see that they can possibly be harmful to you, there's a very fine line when it comes to your intuition versus worrying and already putting your guard up when you're going to meet someone, when you know it's your insecurity and you're dragging in your past into the present moment, which is going to blind you from that individual, from being able to see them clearly. You know, you're going into it with expectation instead of just like, I'm going to meet this person and I'm just going to be open and listen, observe, and reciprocate, ask the appropriate questions. You know, you don't have to treat it like an interview. There's a flow that comes with it that you can chime in and ask the right questions, because it's imperative to ask those questions. And a lot of time, people are not bold enough to ask certain questions that's not too invasive and it's still nurturing and compassionate at the same time. Because I've had people who were interested in me or liked me, and they were very much so invasive in asking things that they shouldn't have asked. And what they had asked, it being invasive, was a true judgment, and they could have did it in a different form instead of asking me this question out of the blue, out of the random, and are like assuming that I'm struggling in that area. Like, no one could tell me about myself. You get what I'm saying, you guys? No one could tell me about myself at this point in time of my life. Like, I see everything about me. So no one could tell me, because no one could tell me about myself, because I really do know who I am, and I see my actions, I see how I react, I know what comes up in my subconscious mind, you know, because I know those shadow sides of me. When a person comes out of the blue and tries to tell me about something, because here's the thing, a lot of people who can be spiritual, they'll be like, okay, I'm a Scorpio. So Scorpios tend to know like the hidden secrets about things. And because they can be psychic and pick up on the secret things about people and could read people when they really, really want to tap in, they feel that they can read someone and think that that is them, you know? So it's a very fine line. You can't, it's when you read someone, when you get really good at it, you could tell when someone's attached to whatever they have going on, or they don't, you know? So when this person asked me a question out of the blue, and I answered it because I already know everything about me. I already know the things that I have worked on and continue to every single day. So people will use that and then instantly start to judge you based off of what they have read you on, you know, and it's just like, I'm already past that. And if you want to judge me on that and you don't even know my growth, you don't even personally know me and sit down with me to hear what I have to say, then that's on you. Like, I see you too, you know? So because I could see that person and what they're doing clearly, is because I know myself and I can see the hidden, I could basically burn through reality because I do have a lot of fire placements. So I am able to see what people are, where they are coming from. And so it's definitely a fine line, and you don't want to be the person who is already automatically assuming that that individual is going to hurt you instead of being present and enjoying the moment for what it is. And I've shared this story before. I dated someone on Tinder, and she was actually bigger in person, and I still continued on the date. I did not judge her, and it wasn't appropriate for me to even bring that up, you know, during that time, because there was so much good energy going on between us. So how could I deny that? you know? And I want to be the type of person who's looking at someone's soul, not necessarily their body size. You know, do I have a preference now? Yes, I do, you know, because I know what I can handle and I know what I can't handle. And that's the honest truth. You know, everybody starts to understand what they don't like and what they do like when they go out and they start dating people, and you date people in a respectful way. You know, you don't date people to see what you can get out of them. You don't do that because you're already full and whole on your own. So you're automatically in the least expectation. And when you walk around, when after that date is over, you are able to leave it. And if you guys continue, then you continue. If you don't, you didn't lose anything. You know, it was a great night. It was a great observation. It was a great interaction, even if it wasn't like the best or the smoothest. You know, at least you had some good food. So it's all about your intentions of when you want to start talking to someone, and getting really, really clear about, you know, why you're doing what you're doing, why you are even on the date in the first place. You know, and are you coming from a space where it's super judgmental? And that's not where you want to be. If you're judgmental in a way where it's so unhealthy, then you probably shouldn't be on the date. People can feel that from you, that you may not be feeling them and you're not really that interested in them since the beginning. They know that. Some people are just open enough and just, you know, go with the flow. And they are just okay with meeting someone and not necessarily holding on to the fact that you know you'll get something out of it, or it's going to continue on, the dates are going to continue on. So having that intention before you get into a dating scenario is key, because you can hurt your own feelings when an individual specifically told you that they don't want to be in a relationship and that's not what they're looking for. Or they date multiple people and that's not what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with wanting to date someone who only wants to date you, because there's a lot of people that say, oh, you need to date around, you need to date multiple people. I don't think that's always suitable for everyone. And I don't think it's a bad thing to want to only date one person and they're not talking to anybody else. You know, some people have it in their head, if they're dating a bunch of people, it's like, why do you feel like you gotta fight that? It's like, where is their space? Now you gotta, you know, be in between all these people and their schedule. Like, even though, you know, that individual is not saying like, oh, I'm meeting up with this person, but you throw out a date and they're like, no, I can't do it. It's probably because they're going on another date, and it's not they don't have to tell you that that's what's going on, but you could feel it, you know. And everybody has a right to be interested and have their own moral standards of what they want to experience. You know, some people like dating multiple partners, are into polyamorous type of relationships. So asking those questions is key. And when you ask these questions, you're going to get more comfortable, and you're going to see how actually powerful you are and how much autonomy, self-autonomy that you really do have. You know, I've mentioned this before, a lot of people have grown up with no options and feeling like they don't have any options because of their parental guardians who made it seem like they didn't have any options, and they absolutely did. They just wanted to tell, you know, you at that age, do as I say. And it's like being told that over and over and over again throughout your life. It's like, it's creating a mindset that you don't have any choices. You can't dream. You can't have an imagination, and to focus on the external. You know, they cut you off from your imagination, and because your imagination is being cut off, it can lead you into obsessive behavior, whether it's food, drugs, people, money, you know, those types of things. It leads to an addiction, a suppressed taboo addiction and the things on this planet Earth are not really taboo. It's because they have made it to where there's a lot of restrictions around things that a lot of people really enjoy doing. You know, what's right for me is not necessarily going to be right for you. And that goes for everyone here on this earth. So noticing that you have fallen for the delusion of someone and you put someone on a pedestal, and learning every time you do that, because sometimes people continue to attract narcissistic individuals, and every time you experience that, do not shame yourself for that. Feel whatever feelings you need to feel. You don't necessarily have to put a name to it. Just feel everything, because that's getting you closer to the right person that is supposed to be in your life. And you don't want your desires, like the desire to be married, the desire to have children, to override you. You don't want that energy to make you feel like you're drowning. And now, because your head is underneath the water, that energy is basically overwhelming you. It's overtaking you to where you don't have any mental control, because it just accumulated and accumulated. So once you get yourself above the water, keep yourself afloat. Make the appropriate decisions. You know, a lot of people in your family, friends, they don't make the best decisions when it comes to relationships. So every time when you attract a narcissist, learn from it, feel it, experience it, and don't fault them necessarily for it, because it gives you some type of contrast of where you are at in your love journey, you know, and never feel like there is basically no one for you because of your age. There's a lot of channels out there that tell women that because they're 46 or 50 years old, because they made the choice to leave their husband and try something new, that they'll never find someone else. And that's false. Like, no one gets to tell someone how their life is going to pan out. You know, even if they did choose to leave that husband and it seemed like a mistake, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you actually were doing the right thing and people made you feel bad for it because you decided to leave, you know. And some people do act impulsive, whether it's a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. You know, there's a lot of hate between women, blaming women for this and blaming men for this. Last time I looked, it's a lot of men and women that ain't right when it comes to how they view relationships. Okay, so to fight and say all women do this, men do the same thing. You know, if you're not right, you're not right. If you're unhealthy, you're unhealthy. If you're not looking at your trauma, you're not dealing with your trauma. If you're not willing to go above the thoughts that you currently have about women, about how you view relationships, then you're not going to grow. You're going to continue to find women or find men that are helping you create your thoughts about them. There's so many people on this planet Earth. You really think that you'll never find someone else? You really think that? You really think that there are no healthy people here on this planet Earth? Because there is. It may come a dime a dozen, but wouldn't you want it like that anyways? Because by the time you get to the other person, you're drained, you're pooped out, you're worrying, you're thinking that they're going to hurt you. So give yourself that space and time to be able to heal after each and every relationship. Not everybody moves like that, and not everyone has to move like that either. Some people can move on very quickly due to their birth chart and their placements. Like, if a person has a lot of Gemini in their chart, they can probably move on very well and be very fluid and know how to navigate relationships in a different way. So just because someone jumps into another relationship, it doesn't mean that they haven't grown throughout that relationship or haven't healed and ended that situation in a healthy way and learned what they needed to learn. So never underestimate how people move. You know, never underestimate how people talk, how they move, the things that they're into, because it's their alignments that are basically kind of dictating how they are and how they look. You know, for example, I may talk and it can come off it can come off contradictory, but it's because I have Gemini in the 7th house, which deals with communication, how I communicate and go about navigating relationships. And also I have Lilith in Gemini, so I could switch up whenever. You know, I understand both sides, and I don't have to be torn within myself because I have those. I could switch, you know, those placements around. I could switch into anything if I wanted to, you know, being mutable in that way. So, you know, it's going to bring out a different way of how I speak. And you got to be careful, because not everyone is coming from a space where it's to attack you or to hurt you. You can know by if someone is trying to be vindictive or condescending or trying to prove a point, by getting out of your own way and getting out of your own insecurities. You know, then you'll be able to see someone for who they truly are. And so, you know, when you're navigating relationships, just get used to the fact that people may cheat. And there's people who get tempted and do things that they shouldn't be doing, and you have every right to leave. And if you want to stay to work it out, then that's up to you. For me, I wouldn't stay if someone decides to cheat. You know, they can have each other. I don't want it. I'm not interested anymore. I don't want to work it out. You chose, you know. So do what's right for you. Do what's comfortable for you. Realize when you are ready for a relationship and when you are not. Be honest, because people, basically when you're more honest with yourself, then people won't get over on you, because there are people that may like you. For example, me having Libra and Venus, I would attract all types of women, okay? From different walks of life, different sizes. And I realized after a while, because a lot of them weren't even what I wanted in the first place, but having Venus in Libra, you tend to attract a lot of people by default, because of the energy that you hold. You know, that charming energy, being able to be comfortable around others, being able to know what people's needs are just instinctively. So now that I know that, I gotta be weary of the fact of who I let into my space, because they taught you when you were younger that everyone should be kind. Everybody has to be nice to everyone. Everybody has, you know, all this like fantasy about things, like don't judge people. Yes, you don't want to judge people off of petty things. You want to use discernment. So, so sometimes you have to, you know, jump into that space of discernment. What's healthy for you? What are you ready for? And if you're going to jump into something toxic, be ready to deal with all of that toxicity. You know, if you can't help it. But what you want to pay attention to is the fact that if you're around someone and they are attracted to you or they like you, recognize what energy is yours and what energy is not. Because what has happened to me a lot in the past, because I didn't know what I knew now, is that a lot of that energy that was that I was feeling wasn't necessarily mine. It was more theirs. So you can easily mistake it. If you don't have self-awareness, you can easily mistake it for you liking them, when it was basically them summoning you towards them with their energy. And you probably weren't even paying attention to them at all. And so when you recognize that, you instantly need to check in with yourself and say, do you really like this person? And slow down, you know, don't make any decisions. Don't put that individual on a pedestal. Don't allow those feelings that you're feeling to overwhelm you. Enjoy it, but do not let it run you. Run your decisions. Because sometimes you need space to know if you actually are interested in that person. Because if you mistake that energy that is actually theirs as yours, you can end up getting into a situationship that you don't even need to get into. And I've experienced that before. So gauging that is so important, and this has to be worked with by knowing yourself, knowing who you are. Do relationships teach you who you are? Absolutely. But you don't want to always have to go externally to always show you who you are. You could do that before. You don't have to do that with someone else, because if you're constantly dating other people to test the waters of where you're at in life all the time, you can end up stringing someone along. And you don't want to be in that situation either. You want to be respectful of each other's energy. So that's why I say it takes a lot of responsibility to know what it takes to be in a relationship and to date. And it's a very fine line, and so when you are attracted to someone, please do not get swooned by someone's looks and the career that they have, the family that they have. Please, you will get blindsided, okay? It doesn't matter. They don't have to look poor and all this stuff to basically use you energetically. They might not need you financially for anything, but they will drain you out. They'll have you looking like a raisin. Just because someone has all this financial stability, that's great. Good for them. Rah, rah. Just because they have that, it does not mean that they are spiritually aware and have a self. They've been doing the work. They do the shadow work. A lot of people can hide behind money, and it can appear that they are a balanced being. So you don't want to fall for the traps. Another trap as well is when someone smells good. Okay, like I get compliments about the fragrances that I wear at times. Back in my day, I would have taken the compliment as like, oh, she's hitting on me. Okay, and she might be. But just because she likes my fragrance doesn't mean she's gonna like who I am or my natural pheromones. Doesn't mean that, so you have to be careful, men and women. Just because someone compliments you on that, you don't always have to take the bait. You can use it as a compliment and leave it at that and keep it moving. There's people who just talk to people just because they smell good, and it's just like now you're in a situation where it may be abusive or narcissistic, so people can hide behind certain things all the way down to their career and all the way down to the fragrances that they wear, so you don't want to get duped when it comes to relationships. And how you do that is by looking at your own delusions that you feed on a daily basis, looking at your subconscious. Your subconscious is just like a song that's playing in the background at a grocery store. If you're not aware and you're not paying attention to the music that is playing in that grocery store, because they play certain music in the grocery store to make you feel a certain way and to make you shop more, or to, they play different songs. They play happy songs for the happier people. This is not to compare, but I'm just saying, songs that are more in a higher vibration, songs that bring back memories for people, songs that bring out sadness for the ones that are at a lower vibration. And they do that to create energy for people so they could shop in certain ways. The person that may be at a lower vibration, consistently at a lower vibration, they might go buy cookies and cupcakes and chips. And this is not to say that those foods are bad to have from time to time, but I'm just trying to show you like how people can feed off of, how they set it up to feed off of people's subconscious mind and certain vibrationals, certain energies that enter into that space. And this is what people do as well. And so your subconscious mind is playing in the background of your mind. And if you're not aware, you will start externally acting these things out, you know. And if you don't understand why you're buying the cookies and the chips and stuff like that, you might be sad, but you're still going to buy the chips, but at least you know why you're buying it. And then you want to confront why you have been craving sweets more than usual. It's usually connected to an emotion. So your subconscious mind is like grocery background music. And that's how, you know, you get taken advantage of if you're not aware of your subconscious and where it's at and what it's doing and what it's prone to act on. And those energies give you a certain vibration. And so if you don't know, if you're not trying to take a peek at your subconscious, you can show yourself that. You show yourself your subconscious every single day by the things that you think about that pop into your mind, the things that you gravitate towards, your reactions to things, the patterns that keep happening in your life, the loops, you know, stuff like that. If you're not, if an individual is not, they don't have the time to meditate or don't have the passion to meditate, you definitely show yourself your subconscious all the time. Your nervous system is a huge cue as well as to show you if you're balanced or not, to show you how balanced you are within your being. Your heart as well shows you if you are in that flight or flight space, because all of that matters. You know, your thoughts and your environment can create disease. And then on top of that, people eat certain types of foods that amplify the cortisol levels, the stress levels. You know, it's okay to eat things, like some people can afford to eat, you know, sugar and all this stuff every single day, or eat a certain diet and it never affect them, because their mindset is on a different vibration. So the foods, it won't overtake them, but it's when you are super depressed or in the space, a lower vibration, and then you bring in like, you know, fried food and all this stuff, that creates even more toxicity, you know. So if you can manage to deal with your feelings without gravitating to the addictions, then you're getting somewhere, you know what I mean? And if you have an addiction, because when you have an addiction, if you're not aware, it can spew out in all areas of your life, whether it's a relationship. So if you have an addiction and you're in it, be all the way in the addiction. Be all the way in the addiction and accept that you have an addiction, because that is that starting point of self-awareness. So you can surrender that, you know. That's why I was saying the whole taboo about things and shaming people and restricting things, making things seem weird, making it seem weird that there are polyamorous relationships, making it seem weird that there are people who prefer to date the same sex. All these rules to how you know you are, what you like. All these rules to make you fucking feel bad for yourself. All these beliefs. You know, a lot of people have a lot of hoarding belief systems. They hoard old, outdated belief systems of how someone should be living their life. And it's like, last time I checked, you're not my God to be telling me what I should be doing when I know my growth and what I do every single day. You know, so, you know, they want to make you feel shitty about yourself and low so they can take advantage of you, of the things that you like. And you could be the most healthiest person and you prefer to date the same sex, but they'll still look at you like you got a mental illness. They'll still look at you like, oh, you have father issues, you have mother issues, that's why you date the same sex. There are straight people who also have issues with their parents. Who has never had an issue or challenge with their parents, no matter what sex they decide to like. You know, if I've healed that part of myself when it comes to my parents, that has nothing to do why I prefer to date women. Okay? Sometimes it has to do with an individual's birth chart. I have masculine ass placements in my birth chart, okay? So that energy is holding a polarity when I date another woman. It balances out. It balances out so well for me. Even my last partner, we didn't even merge on our periods together. I don't know if this is too much information, but I'm just saying, because we did not merge on our periods together. 1 week she would have hers, and then the next week I had mine, because there was a polarity there. There's polarity there. And when I was not on my period, I'm able to help her when she's on her period, and not feeling so well, or not being able to keep up with cleaning and stuff like that. So I'll be able to uphold the pillar for that week, and vice versa. If I need help or I'm feeling more tired than usual. But for me, I try to take care of myself before my period even comes. So we have all these rules of how a relationship's supposed to be, and who's supposed to date what, and that two same-sex people can't be together. Like, it's old already. White people and black people can't date each other. Like, all this stupid, outdated belief systems that hold each other back into seeing something greater within humanity, something greater within themselves. Because at the end of the day, we are spiritual beings, and we have masculine energy and feminine energy. And within us, we have masculine energy and feminine energy between both male and females. It's up to each individual if they want to tap into that. And if you guys haven't recognized that it's created a lot of unbalanced human beings, because an individual will just focus on the fact that they're fully a man. That's fine, that's great, rah rah, you're a man. But at the same time, it's very healthy to tap into your femininity, regardless if you're with a woman who doesn't like the fact that you cry or you're in touch with your emotions. Y'all got to start stepping up into your own energy and being okay with it, and stop using the fact that there's a lot of women who don't accept men who are emotional from time to time. Just start being it. Just start showing it. You can't keep using a woman to hinder you in your self-expression of your feminine energy. And the same thing goes with women not tapping into their masculine energy in fear of what another man will say. Men and women are creating this hate against each other and causing a lot of division against each other. Just allow people to be who they are. Allow people to show you who they are, and you focus on yourself. You focus on your own personal growth. You focus on your spiritual self. You focus on your subconscious and your traumas, and healing who you are, becoming the best higher self, getting closer to God, getting closer into the center of the universe. That's what people need to start focusing on, and you will start to attract whoever you are. Once you start healing those holes, the trauma holes, and you start patching that up with your own love, your own energy that you could create within yourself, because you don't need anyone. You're just experiencing people. You are experiencing people. But right now, a lot of people are not experiencing people. They're controlling people and their beliefs. They're controlling. They're scared of their spouse's power of knowing who they are. And so these arguments start to happen because whether it's a man or a woman, somebody's trying to control because they're in fear of them coming into their power. That is sad. That is sad. So people got to start breaking those belief systems. It starts with you. Starts with you. Even this whole thing about how women should be having children, and I want to make a video about that as well, that the women who don't want to have children are selfish. Because they are taking a stance at the fact that they want to be healed and they want to experience life in a different form instead of bringing in children in that they actually don't want to have. You know, they have to deal with having the child and being there, whether the man is there or not. Most of the time it's the woman. So if they're willing to not want to have children because maybe they had to help raise their siblings and they're tapped out, they did their job. You know, not every person here is supposed to have children, you know. So to berate another woman for what they want to do with their body, especially online, and you don't even know that woman, and she has every right to do what she wants to do with her body and what she feels is healthy for her. Go talk to a woman who wants to have children. There's plenty. Leave the ones that already know who they are. Leave them alone. It's not gonna, like, the earth is gonna keep moving. You know, everybody is not supposed to have children. Sometimes their duty is to be a support system to other people who have, you know, children. There has to be contrast. You know, people have children and they don't even want to have the children, and then they take it out on the children. That, you know, they take it out on the kids. They start giving them attitude. They don't like them, stuff like that. Who wants to be around that energy as a child? You don't want to bring them in that space. So why force people to do something that they know that they're like, I don't want to have children? A lot of people think that it's from ego. It's not. A lot of people think it's from selfishness. Maybe for some, to prove a point. But there's a lot of women that are not in that. They just want to live their lives in a free manner, to be more free and to create in a different form and contribute to the earth in a different way. They don't always have to have kids if they know at the deep down in their soul that they don't want it. And there are some women who change their mind later on, and that's okay. You don't still need to go try to convince another woman just because you saw one woman change her mind and she said she didn't want it. You don't gotta try to go convince another woman to try to control her, and she's adamant on not wanting children. She don't need you for that advice. She doesn't need. Which you think she's gonna change her mind if she knows that's how her journey is supposed to go? That's a relationship with her and God, you know? Like, these people out here are acting like they're God and that they could dictate someone's life. I'm, like, confused here. Like, what? Who told you were God and trying to punish someone and trying to condemn them? Like, go live your life. Go find women who want children. You know, go in those spaces. The planet is here for everyone. Everybody has their own choices, their own journey. And it's going to look unique to each and every individual. So who is that person to sit there and do that to others, to force down, to be so forceful? There's a lot of men that are so forceful. If it's not forceful with sex, they're forceful with their ideas and their beliefs. They're scared. Why are you so scared? Go date a woman that believes the same beliefs as you do. Leave the other ones alone, and they'll find partners that are in the same mindset. Just leave it alone. It's not gonna hurt you, you know? So anyways, I went in on that. You know, don't fall for the delusions, because you can end up in a situation that you don't want to be in. And remember, you have every right to be who you are and have your true connection to God, because God is going to look different for everyone. What your blueprint is for you is going to be different from someone else, you know. So let the journey pan out the way that it's supposed to. Flow within the journey, be observant within the journey, accept the journey, surrender to your personal journey, and you'll start to meet less resistance within yourself, and the path will start to get clearer. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I will be back again with another video. Peace.